The heroes of the September 11th attacks comes from Hawaii and works at the Pentagon.
This mountain of terror is now coming down, but not without stirring up memories for a man from Waianae who was there, saving lives.
Adrenaline is going, and some of the training that you go through, first thing you think about is put it to work, just helping people.
Isaac Ho'opi'i was told not to go into the burning building, but he saw those two double doors. They were blown out, so he ran in, and he has no regrets.
You always want to think that you did more than what you could, but just hearing, the voices or the smell, or thinking that, did I do enough?
He would thrash about a bit. He would talk in his sleep a bit.
The overall theme was, could we have rescued more?
My mom would say stuff like, oh, your dad's really quiet, he's not playing music.
You're always second-guessing yourself as a police officer, all the time.
My dad didn't want to go and talk to anybody. He didn't want to go, see a therapist or anything like that.
He was very concerned that this group of people that he had been yelling to had not made it out, and he felt very guilty that he wasn't able to get back there and physically get to them. I guess he finally kind of thought that he wasn't brave enough to go into that part. That's the kind of mindset that I understand a lot of police officers feel, survivor's guilt, that they didn't do enough.
The only reason I got out of the Pentagon and other people got out because they heard that voice saying, if you can hear my voice, head towards my voice.
Have you seen that article or the news reference to this guy who's looking for that person with the voice? I said, no, not really. He said, I think it was you.
Isaac Ho'opi'i is a nationally recognized K-9 unit officer responsible for saving many people from the Pentagon during the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001. Countless articles were written about his heroism following 9/11. This, however, is only a small slice of Isaac's story, as close friends of the Ho'opi'i family have known that his biggest struggle came before the news took notice, and that his struggle continues to this day. My next guests are shooting a documentary on Isaac and could use your help via Kickstarter to bring his story to the big screen. I have director and cinematographer Stephen Tringali and producer Maria Bissell live via Skype to talk about their film, Corridor 4. Steve and Maria, welcome to the show.
Hi. Hey, Kevin.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
It's definitely my pleasure. All right, so tell our audience a little about yourselves. We know each other from American University, but you guys have been out in LA for a little while. Let them know what you guys have been doing.
Yeah, sure. So Maria and I moved to LA 5 years ago. And so we work in the film industry here. I work as a cinematographer, mostly on small commercials, independent music videos, stuff like that.
And I was working at a talent agency for 2 years, and now I work for 2 showrunners in kids television.
Awesome.
And now we're making.
All right, so what inspired you all to make the film?
Well, I've known Isaac since I was about 13 years old, and he was coaching my little sister in softball. And my parents became really close friends with Isaac and his wife, and they would do snack bar duty together and became the best of friends. Now they travel all over the world together. And my mom was the one who, after I graduated from film school, said, if you're going to make movies, you should make one about Isaac. And since moms are always right, I listened to her, and then Steve helped a lot because I felt a little bit too close to the subject. So Steve's been really great about getting to know them in a different way and asking some more difficult questions that I was more shy about.
Yeah, and I think it had been on our minds for probably since we moved out to LA. And I think I sort of hit this point where I was missing some of the journalism stuff that I had done at AU before sort of committing fully to film. And so doing a documentary about Isaac kind of seemed like it fulfilled both of those desires, like incorporating filmmaking, but also being like a very journalistic project.
So could you tell our audience just a little bit about the film? I kind of pitched it already, but just let them know what the film is about.
Yeah, sure. So Isaac OOP is a K-9 unit officer at the Pentagon, and he's originally from Hawaii, and he served in the military right after graduating from high school. And then he came back to Hawaii and then was wondering like what to do with his life. And his brother had moved, his twin brother had moved to DC. So he moved there to be with him, and then he got into sort of personal security stuff and then transitioned into working at the Pentagon. And so then I think he joined the Pentagon police force in '96. And the story starts with what he did on September 11th. He was one of the first responders on September 11th. And sort of despite everything that he did that day, all the people that he helped, he kind of left feeling like he had failed a certain group of people that he just was unable to get to due to sort of all of the chaos going on. It was just too dangerous for him. Following that, he became kind of a different person. His family sort of noticed that Isaac, who's normally like very jovial and a happy, outgoing guy and always loved, playing music, those things completely stopped for him. And his family got really worried, that something had happened to him. And so it's sort of a look into the post-traumatic stress disorder that Isaac was experiencing. And it's still I guess the part that I think not a lot of people understand is that, when someone experiences PTSD, it doesn't go away. It's like a thing that they need to manage through their whole lives, and there are just different ways of coping with it. And in the documentary, Isaac talks a lot about that, like how he learned to cope with it, and how his family can help with that.
And you also get a look into Isaac's like more fun, joking side of him with like his family, and you do see his personality come out in the documentary, that he is this really happy person that doesn't really show himself in his trailer, but like him having a story about how everyone mispronounces his last name and calls him Hoopy or Hoops or
Yeah. Everyone at the Pentagon knows him as Hoop, like they just call him Hoop. And then he was saying like the worst ones are people see the two eyes at the end and they think he's like Hoop the Second. Or I think the worst one was someone thought he was like Officer IHOP somehow.
So they saw like I and then
yeah, like I,
and so they're like, oh, yeah. IHOP, that's a really interesting name. And
yeah,
I don't know.
So I guess the point is, the documentary, it deals with a serious subject, but there's some moments in there where you see Isaac's, his like fun-loving personality, where he sort of like tells funny stories like that,
and being goofy on stage when he's playing music and having fun with his family.
Sweet. So why do you all feel that this film is an important film to put on the big screen and put in front of, other people, viewers that can see it? And why should people give their hard-earned cash to the Kickstarter campaign?
Well, I think the big thing was I came to realize why it was important in doing all the pre-interviews for it. So instead of just rushing into the documentary and like going there and filming, I called everybody up that I knew was going to be in it, and we had usually like a 45-minute to hour-long conversation, and I recorded all of them and transcribed all of them. And Isaac's wife said something that it didn't really register with me when I was talking to her, but when I was typing it out, I realized that she said something about how Isaac is still dealing with PTSD. And she was one of the last interviews that I did. And everybody else, all his friends, when I would ask them the question, like, how does Isaac seem now? What is life like for him? They would all say he's back to normal. Everything's the same, and it's great. And it almost, what Gigi said, kind of blindsided me. And I realized that if I was caught off guard by this detail, there were probably a lot of other people who were also unaware of the fact that you experience something traumatic, and that detail of your life, the stress and the trauma of it, doesn't ever go away. And I realized that this is like a good opportunity to educate people about that, so that if someone, you most likely know someone who's gone through trauma in their lives, and so, or perhaps you yourself have. And so one, it's either, if you have, it's supposed to be like encouragement. You see Isaac's story, and he's very much like focused on making sure that he's dealing with it properly, but also that he can be there for other people. And I think too, if it hasn't been something that happened to you, someone with trauma, and seeing this side of it can maybe make you more sensitive to helping that person out or being there for them. We have this main character, Isaac, and we're getting to understand this issue that's affecting a lot of people through one person's story. And I think it'll play more effectively that way. So I think it has possibly the power to make people look at people who suffer from trauma in a different way.
In order to finish the documentary, we need people's hard-earned money. And it doesn't have to be any big donations. If we just get a lot of people donating just $5, that's going to make a huge difference in the campaign. If people can just give a little bit, that's going to help a lot, and it's going to really add up in a big way.
Yeah. And I think it should be noted that you all have already shot most of the film, right? And you've gone to various locations. So, you've already put in a lot of the work. Now you just need a little extra help to get it past the finish line. Yeah.
Exactly. We put in a lot of time and money and energy. So it's not even, we've done 90% of the documentary is pretty much complete as far as the filming portion. So it's just a little bit more to get us over the edge and help us to finish it.
All right, cool. So let people know where they can see the trailer, find out more information about the film, and to hopefully support it financially.
Yes, so it's on Kickstarter if you search Corridor 4, or I'm sure you can provide a link in the video somewhere. Then basically if you the Kickstarter page, you can see the trailer, you can see me and Maria pitching the idea.
You can also go to corridor4film.com, or our Facebook page for Corridor 4, or our Twitter, Corridor 4. Yeah.
Just thank you, Kevin, so much for wanting us to be on the show, and it's nice to be able to do this.
Thank you.
No problem. I look forward to seeing the film hit the big screen. Make sure you give me the first interview once it's out there in distribution land and all that good stuff. All right, Stephen and Maria, thanks again for coming on the show.
Okay, thank you.